Good morning, everybody. Daniel Spatz from California, Daniel Spatz Interviews. In the second interview of the week, today is going to be English interview with Gabi Paz, former WTA player. Gabi, hey, the first one to join. Thank you. And she played professional tennis, reached the top 200 in the world, was a top junior in the world also. Martinez Fingari, good to have you. And now he's a tennis coach and have some amazing videos, creative tips, advices. So I love it. So I want to talk to her. I love to promote, female tennis because I think coaches need to be listened and seen. The new coaches, the talented coaches. Okay, so we learn from everybody. So let's have Gabi. Montalvetti, good morning. Great to see you. Tomorrow we have Tony Nadal in our lives, so it's gonna be. Hey, Gabi, good morning.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you? That is a beautiful green behind
thank you. It's in my patio. I didn't. Yeah.
Where are you? Where exactly are you located?
I live in Hollywood, Florida, so that's like North Miami. Yeah, I've been here for a long time already. I love it. It's really, really nice and relaxed. It's perfect.
So and Gabi, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be in my show.
No, of course, it's my honor. It's a pleasure.
So you have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
How come?
I mean, I don't know. I've always kind of been pretty active on social media past couple years. Obviously, when I was on the tour, I was posting some stuff, but now as a coach, especially the past couple months, I've just decided to start doing some tips and some, to give people, more information about the sport and about technique, and especially from a female coach that I think we don't see that often. And obviously, the females game is different. So I think having an input from somebody who played and who's played all of these pros, it's interesting.
You have a lot of fans. She has an amazing coach. So you said two things very important. First of all, female coaching. I love to bring to my show, young talented, as I defined, young talented female coaches. So what if you would have to define, Gabi, before talking about your career as a player, very successful, by the way, how do you define yourself as a teaching pro, as a coach?
As a what? I'm sorry?
How do you define yourself, your style, your vision, your philosophy?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that don't know me, through the Instagram and stuff, they think I'm maybe very, sweet and this stuff. Of course, I'm all that stuff, but I'm very tough. So I really like to work my play. Yeah, I like to work my players hard. I mean, I grew up. My coach was really tough, and a lot of my students are Russian, so I kind of I'm very tough with my students and kind of the discipline that I expect from them. It depends on the stage they're at. I mean, I coach players from like not 8 years old to like, all the way to pros of coach. So it depends on the stage they're at, but I'm very focused on technique and development. And I think that's sometimes a lot of players skip that. A lot of girls that I've coached skip that, and then they come to me already at 15, 16 years old with massive technique issues, and then I have to fix them. And obviously, ideally, you want to fix those progressively from like, 9, 10, 11, 12. And at 12, I already be working more on, footwork, patterns, how to really play the game. So yeah, that's kind of my focus. It depends on the stage they're at, but yeah, that's definitely important because, I mean, I wish I would have worked on some things technically earlier on. It would have made my life much easier on tour.
But you were top 200, not bad, and also top 10 junior, right?
Yeah.
But before you tell us about nice stories about the experience on the tour, Gabi, why tennis? So you're born in Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
How old?
I came here when I was 12. So
Okay.
I'm 30 now. I've been here for a lot of years, so I'm kind of like in the middle of both.
Are you? Do you go back to Venezuela or no? No,
No,
since
no,
then.
I haven't been back pretty much since I left. I've just been here. Yeah.
But you basically learned tennis in Venezuela, right? Your
Yeah,
foundation.
yeah. I started at 6 years old, and yeah, I had a great coach from Chile who, taught me, how to play aggressive from an early age. He wanted me to be like the Williams sisters, so it was kind of like a modern style because back
What? What?
then
So, so,
kids
so he was
was
Chilean.
yeah, yeah.
What is his name?
Hugo Vega was
Hugo.
his name.
Okay. He is in Venezuela, still in Venezuela teaching.
I think so. I think he went back to Chile and then now he went back. But I'm really appreciative of everything he taught me because back then the game was still more like defensive, maybe more like Steffi Graf and like, still. And then the Williams sisters started to come in, and that's the way he really taught me to play more, taking the ball in the air, swinging volleys and stuff
Mm,
like that, which was the new style. And I'm really appreciative because, obviously it's nice to learn them early on.
good. How about your parents? We read so many stories about parents, especially in women's tennis, being so tough and mean to the
Yeah,
girls.
yeah.
What you can tell us about your experience with your parents, Gabi?
I mean, honestly, I'm nothing but grateful to them. I was very lucky. I am very lucky. Honestly, I cannot even tell you how grateful I am. So when I moved, they moved here pretty much because of me, my career. I have both of my parents. I have a younger sister, and we all moved here when I was 12. And obviously, the situation in my country wasn't the best. So we came here for both of those reasons, but basically to give me a better chance at pursuing my career. But yeah, I mean, when we arrived here, our financial situation wasn't great. Our
Mm.
immigration situation wasn't good at all. So I was very limited to tournaments that I could play, to places where I could train. If I didn't get a scholarship, like there's no way I could play. Things like that. So they were super supportive. Like my father worked so hard for me to be able to play, and then my mother was just at home with both of us, me and my sister, just making sure I was, doing my school, taking me to practice, bringing me back and forward. My sister. So yeah, I mean, there were some really, really tough times, but I mean, I'm so grateful because they were always there for me. Of course, there was a lot of pressure because I knew that I had to do well, but I feel like they didn't really add that like extra pressure that like, oh my God, they're putting so much pressure on me that I can't perform. It wasn't like that. So, and I think that nowadays that's happening a lot where parents
Mm.
expect so much, and they don't realize that the kids, when the kids have all these expectations, they can't perform, they freeze up. But they were so supportive, and they were always like, "It's okay." When I first arrived, I wasn't winning all the time, so they were like, "It's okay. It's gonna happen." Obviously, they would get frustrated because they're like, "You're so good, and you're getting so nervous, and you're not playing." But it's a process. It's a process, and when you play, you understand it more. And they didn't play, but fortunately, they weren't crazy or anything. They were still supportive.
Gabi, when you reached the U.S. Open Junior Finals, right?
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes, yes.
Do you play for Venezuela or USA?
Venezuela. Yeah,
Okay.
I always
Um,
play for Venezuela. I never play for the U.S.
okay.
Yeah. First of all, I because I wasn't like a resident here yet, or I have my green card yet, or anything. And secondly, I really wanted to play for my country, obviously.
What support um, you had, you felt once you got to that big stage, finalist and the
Yeah,
top of the future of Venezuela, one of
yeah,
the future tennis players in the world. Any support you got and you received
yeah. Yeah,
from
that's a tough
Venezuela?
question. That's a tough question because I wish I would have received a lot more support. I don't want to name anybody, but there were a few people from the federation who tried to help. But overall, it was tough. I didn't really receive any financial help. And really, after I got to that point, is when they were like, oh, like, who is this girl? Oh, let's maybe, bring her on our podcast or bring her on an interview or this and that. Like before that, um, even though I was already top 50 ITF, it wasn't, nothing was happening. I think that because I was here in the US, I was training here, it was almost like I was in men's no land because I was here, but I was playing for Venezuela, so nobody really paid attention, I guess.
And
So
I
when
bet.
I reached that point, everybody was like, wow, like who is this girl? Like nobody has ever done that before in Venezuela. So
So, Gabby, I bet you got a lot of offers from schools, right?
yeah,
Scholarships.
yeah, yeah, I did. But I mean, my goal was always to play pro. Back then, because it's not like that anymore. But back then, going to college was almost like you weren't good enough to play pro. It was very like very, you know. And my parents were always like saying like, okay, if you can't do well right now, then it's maybe better you go to college. And I was like, no way, I want to play pro. So for me, it wasn't really an option in my mind, even though it would have been a good, you know, still a great option. So yeah, and then also my parents couldn't afford for me to travel, so I started taking the money from the pro tournaments because I won my first 10K when I was 15. It was the first pro tournament I ever played.
Where was it?
It was in Texas, El Paso, Texas.
Wow, nice. So, any sponsors you had?
So yeah, after the Junior US Open, I got signed by a manager. I had a manager, and then I was with Lacoste for like 4 years. Yeah, I had a, you know, I started to have a little more help, but that's unfortunately then when all my injuries started to happen. I swear, when they signed me, it was like everything started to go downhill in my in my injuries and stuff. It was so frustrating.
But you had great wins over Pliskova,
Yeah.
Stevens, Riske, right? Allison.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of players right now that are in the top 100 that I used to play with, that I know very well, that I used to beat. But I just had to finish my career so early. I really retired at 20, but I really played just on and off since like the last like 19, 20, 18, 19, 20. I had to play on and off. So like maybe 6 months out of the year max because I would get injured.
But
And I had
Gabby, what type of injuries? I mean, what kind of
Yeah, that
what?
was really unfortunate because so I had reached my highest ranking. I think I was 17, almost 18. It was 230, and I was ahead of pretty much most of the girls that were coming up with me, all of the Americans, because you know I used to compete with against them all the time. And then I started to have pain in my tibia and my leg, and I got a walk-up for a WTA, and I was like, it hurt, but I'm gonna play. But it was bad, and when I came back, they said I had like a tumor on my tibia. It was really unfortunate. It was like a benign, but it was growing, and he said that it had to be removed. So they had to make like a hole in the bone. Imagine that for an athlete. It's like
Wow.
recovery. So I was out for a year. And when I'm talking about a year, like I wanted to do something, and the doctor was like, don't even walk because the bone needs to grow back. So it was super tough. So obviously, I trained and I came back, and I remember doing super well in the tournament after I came back because I wanted to play so bad, even though I almost died like on my third match on court. I was so excited to be back. But then after that, you know, obviously being out for a year, your body is like kind of you start realize parts of your body that like, oh my god, this hurts. So I started to have foot problems after that. I got a fracture on my foot, and then after that, the last year that I played, my shoulder, I had got a shoulder tear, and that's
Mm.
how I was like, it was really hard. Financially, it was hard, and obviously, if you can't compete and make the money you need to, it's hard. Then it's hard overall. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
how.
what a incredible story. And thanks everybody. We have a great audience, by the way. Thank you so much from India, all over the world, watching and listening to you,
Yes,
Gabby.
thank you for
Uh,
everyone to watch.
Money wise, people is always wondering about this the glamour of the top 10 players, limousines, fame, sponsors, prize money. Who makes money, real money, in the professional world of tennis? I mean, talking about ranking wise,
Yeah,
what do
yeah,
you
yeah.
say? The top 50, top 100, top
Yeah.
200?
I mean, I would say like good money, top 50. and that
50.
yeah, top 50, and that's if you have like good sponsors, also, you know, because there's girls who are maybe top 100 who are 80 in the world, that are maybe there not winning in the smaller tournaments, which means that the prize money is not huge, and they're there, but they're still not making that really, like, okay, I can retire now. Like, it's not like that at all. Plus, you have to keep paying your coach, you have to keep paying the hotels, the tickets. So what you make really is reduced to like 15%.
But what, how, so to me, it's difficult to understand uh, how you survive being 300, 400.
Yeah.
I mean, how you guys do that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like I said, after the juniors, I went to 230 quite fast in like a year and a half. So I had obviously like people interested in me, and I was, going like, okay, straight up, like everything was going really well. Uh, and so, I told you, I signed with the manager, so that helped. When you have the support of your country, I think that that's the biggest help, because when your federation helps you, it's like it makes a huge difference, because you can play more
Mm.
tournaments, you can travel with your coach. I could never travel with my coach, I was always by myself, so that was really hard. Since 13 years old that I started traveling here, I was by myself, and when I was 13 I couldn't even speak English. So that was really tough. It's not the same in any level to go to the tournaments alone. It's a big disadvantage in every single way. So
Sorry, Gabby. Something that they struggle in Latin America is the lack of enough play on hard courts.
yeah.
How important, a lot of coaches listening to you, they're going to listen later. Um, how important is to play on hard courts
Yeah.
nowadays? Because
Yeah.
most of the circuit, right, is on hard
Yeah.
courts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Most of it is hardcore, and I feel like when you go from hard to clay, it's easier even to play on clay. Like hard courts are faster. When I get players from South America and Europe where they play a lot on red clay and they come here to hard court, it takes them a while. I'm like, take the ball early, and they want to go back to the fence and wait for the ball, but they don't realize that the ball is bouncing so fast. So it's super important, I think. And then, to keep practicing on both, and to obviously the clay game is a bit different. But like I said, it's easier to go from hard to clay than to go from our slow clay to then play hard courts, because it's so fast compared to some of the clay courts. So yeah, I think training in both is super important. I mean, yeah.
Give all the Latin American girls listening to you a few advices about what they should focus on, when developing their games. The girls. I'm talking about female tennis.
Female tennis, yeah. I mean, I think the female tennis is becoming like faster and faster each day. And when I say faster, I'm not talking about power only. I mean about taking the ball early. And I mean, we've seen a few of the younger players come up being so successful, like Anisimova, right now Raducanu, Leila, and they're all taking the ball super super early. And for example, Leila, it's an awesome example because she's not the tallest, she's not maybe the strongest, but she takes the ball so early and makes so many winners. Um, so I feel like that's really important, to take time away from your opponent these days, and just open the court fast. I feel like it's even more important to, really stay in your ground and take that ball early than really just go back and try to, generate a lot of power from the back. I think in women's tennis, it's becoming really, really about the first 3, 4 shots that you hit, whoever is going to win the point. So yeah, I mean, really working on footwork and moving well, because if you want to be an aggressive player, I don't think that you can do that without moving well. So, but if you take time away, you really need to move up to the ball well, be pretty quick, have good hands. So yeah, I mean, everybody has a different talent, and I coach, different players. So everybody has a different strength. Like maybe some of them have a great serve and first shots, and maybe some of them are more counter punchers. But I think that overall, you need to be able to put that ball away when you have the chance, and it's really working towards taking time away in the women's tennis.
How about defense?
Yeah, I mean, super important, of course. It depends on what kind of player you are, because, like I said, for example, a player like Anisimova, who I worked with in the past, she's obviously a first ball striker, and she's not the best mover, but I don't think you can make her be the best defense player out there, because that's not her strength. So, but I mean, but overall, you really need to be able to have that plan B, I think, to where you can, okay, my strokes are not working, or my opponent is playing amazing. I'm still going to be able to move, defend, and still somehow find a way to be aggressive. Sometimes you do got to defend, unfortunately.
Gabi, serving is one of the weakest
Yeah.
areas in our players in Latin
Yeah.
America. It's been forever. I mean, hasn't changed. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why
Yeah.
we struggle with having good
Yeah.
servers?
Yeah. I mean, I think just not put enough emphasis on it. And even I have to sometimes be really aware of it, not just okay serving when we already did everything else and we're gonna leave the last 10 minutes for serving, because really the focus is not put on that. It's almost like, okay, practice is done, I'm gonna serve. So yeah, I really think that it should be a shot that's worked on as much as any other shot, and I don't think it is at all. Like, I think it's really like 40-40 forehand backhands, something else, and then the last 5% serves. And obviously, developing a good technique from early on. I mean, that's so important because, for example, I never had the best serve, and I wish since I was like 8, I would have learned the. Sorry, my dog's barking. Uh, since an early age, I wish I would have learned like better technique, really how to turn my shoulders better, use my legs, my rhythm. I wish it would have, been from early on, because then maybe it would have been more natural growing up. And I feel like when I was already 15, 16, I had to make so many changes, and it was hard. It was hard.
Tell
So
us five secrets according to you, Gabi Paz, for a good serve, having a good serve. What would you share? Share 5 tips.
5 tips. I would say rhythm is one of them, because if you don't have a good rhythm, you can do everything right, but the ball is not going to go in. The second is the hips. I think that really a lot of
Tips.
players, yeah, don't use the hips enough to generate from the legs. So, you really can't load off if you don't use your hips,
How do you
right?
use it? How do you use hips?
So basically, when you're into a trophy position, you really want to kind of get the hip out, so that you
Okay.
can be in a good line, so that, because if you're not, it's really not, impossible to get a good trophy position. How many have I said? The next
Two. You
one,
said two.
2. Got it. So obviously using the legs, very important to explode off and land inside the court.
Gabby, you should get, what do you advise? I get that question very often. You should bring the feet together or keep the feet apart. What is the difference?
That's a great question. So, I mean, both of them are great. Both of them are great. I think each of them fits each player differently. I don't change it being a player that's either or.
How did you do
I did it together. So,
together?
yeah, I did it together, but I find that some people who struggle with serving overall with rhythm, it's better for them to keep them apart, because it's just more of an easier motion. You just have to go up and just bend, so you don't have to think about putting it together. Was never taught that, but I find for some players it's easier. So I think both are good. I mean, Federer does it apart, and then a bunch of them, do the serve together. So both of them are very effective. I don't think one is better than the other.
Okay, you
Um,
mentioned three. You said
3,
the
got it.
rhythm, hips,
Yes,
legs. What else?
yes. Pronation. I should have said that one of the first, but anyway.
How do you teach pronation?
So I've done a couple of tips on that on my Instagram, but basically, a lot of players have no idea what it even
Mm.
is. Like I said, okay, let's pronate, and they what? And a lot of players also hit only like slice serve. They just hit like a spinning hard serve, and it's really not going hard or popping on your strings. So I really like to start them off on the service line, and just starting on a short motion from here. Uh,
Yeah, show us. Move the hand
yeah, sorry.
so we can see a little bit better. Let me see.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so
Right there. Right
starting
there.
on short motion from here,
Yeah.
and then just tossing and working on this right here,
Okay.
doing a short motion and finishing right here. So
Starting like this.
yeah, and just finishing right here.
Okay.
So you kind of get the feeling of what it is to get this on contact, and to really, pronate. Sorry, to
Well,
really,
how what age the student should be studying that when they? I mean, I'm talking about
yeah,
kids now.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I would say already at 10,
Ten.
yeah. Because at first, obviously, the first stages, they're even struggling to hold the grip continental. But I think by 10 years old, they already may have the enough strength, because you got to have quite a lot of forearm and wrist strength to be able to pronate. But it's important to develop it early on, because if you don't develop that strength that you need to have for that. And then if you start out really late, you may just, find that really difficult.
But you do even that with adults?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends on the level, of course. It depends on the stage they're at, right? Because some of them are just focusing on right now earlier steps than that. That's really
You see a
acceptable.
lot of adults serving with a fry pan, like this, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
hard to change.
Yeah, it's hard to change. I know. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's one of the hardest, when they're going from here and teaching them how to do a
Mm.
loop behind your head. But it's possible. It's just practice, you know.
Oh, okay. You said uh, rhythm, hips, legs, pronation, and the fifth.
The fifth, I would say, is shoulders. A lot of people serve from the shoulder here, so this is the trophy position, and it's hard to generate from here. So instead of having it here, where you can really have room to do a better job with your shoulders, so a lot of them are here instead of here. So yeah, that's really important. That's a correction I make quite often.
Gabby, how about the ball toss? Because it drives me nuts. Uh, Toss the ball 1 o'clock, toss the ball 12:30, toss the ball 11 o'clock. My goodness, what time should I toss the ball?
Yeah, that's really funny. I mean, for the first serve, so there's different tosses for the serves. So if you're doing a first serve, you're pronating. It has to be, around 12 o'clock. You can't toss too much to the right, because then, so I can't pronate here. I can't pronate
Mm.
here. So I really gotta we try to get the 12 o'clock.
But
And then
wait,
for
flat and slice?
that's for flat, and then for slice, I know it's easier to toss to the right to slice, but you don't want to let your opponent know that you're, oh, hey, I'm slicing. So you're gonna want to keep it at 12 as well for the slice, and just kind of disguise it.
Uh,
And then
and
and then
and
for
the and the top spin?
the kick is the one that's a little different, because you want to toss it a little more to the left and a little more over your head. So because you're not really trying to go forwards on the kick, you're trying to go up. So, right, it's kind of like spin on the forehand. So if it's too in front, then I can no longer go up. So really, if it's on your head, then you can really get that brush up.
It's good to tell the student for the slice serve, hit the outside of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, yeah, to get on the outside of the ball. It's just that a lot of times, like I said, they will toss super low, and they'll toss to the right and just do this strange thing. So you really want to kind of get the same trophy position, get the same toss at 12 o'clock, and then get on the outside of the ball. Yes.
Perfect. And okay. And regarding your tips, I mean, how you build those tips? I mean, how long takes for you to create those wonderful ideas in 1 minute or 30 seconds
Yeah.
that you shared with us? I want to say before continue, Margarita calling from Mexico. Hi, Margarita. She was the mother of two of my students in Mexico when I was in Querétaro.
Super.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, because I love it's very creative, very effective, precise. How long takes for you to build those tips?
Thank you. I'm glad you think that. Because, yeah, believe it or not, it really doesn't take me that long. That's the reason why I kind of start doing it more, because I kind of have a good process where it's not like I'm spending that much time. Yeah, I mean, I try to record mostly on the weekend. So I pick one day and I go out there for an hour, and I just try to, throughout the week, a lot of ideas will come to me. I mean, I'm working with people all day with different students. So I'll write down my ideas, and then I'll pick, usually Sunday is my day off, or Saturday. Yeah,
you're yeah.
I'll write down my ideas, and then I'll just take short clips, and sometimes my husband will help me out.
Is
Uh,
he teaching pro also?
yeah, he's a coach. So we
Wow.
both manage the Vantage Tennis private academy. He works mostly with the boys. I work mostly with the girls,
But
and
where is the academy like academy located? If just in case people wants to know, somebody call me, Daniel. You know, a
yeah.
place in Florida. I refer it to you, of course.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're in Hollywood, Florida. And yeah, I mean, we have like two locations where we do our lessons. Our private academy is not like a big academy. We work a lot privately with the players, or we do small groups. So we're not, because a lot of the people that come to us really like want to do personalized training, like, okay, private lessons, and they want to improve certain strokes. So yeah, we cannot divide ourselves into a thousand. So,
Good.
um, but yeah,
Perfect,
pretty
Gabby.
much so. And then with the videos, yeah, I just edit them myself. I downloaded an app, and it's become a fun process to do.
I love it. Yeah, we enjoy it so much. And to wrap up this wonderful talk, Gabby,
Yeah.
how many hours a day are you teaching? Are you spending dedicating to teaching the game of tennis?
Yeah. So I'm working every day from like 5 to 7 hours around. And then that's Monday through Friday. And then on Saturdays, I work half a day. So from like, 9 to 12, 8 to 12, something like this. And then on Sundays, I take off because otherwise I won't survive.
Okay, and I'm gonna ask you two more questions. One for the junior players. Uh, Maybe you can help us
Sure.
and not them. It's very common to hear I'm nervous before they
Yeah.
play. What advice you give it to them before they
Yeah.
play? I'm nervous, Gabby. I don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah, I think the most important part of that is to have a specific plan that you want to do, and even write it down, visualize it before the match. So even though you're really nervous, you know that, okay, whatever it is, I'm gonna hit every ball cross court and deep. So that's my plan. And even though if my arm is shaking, I'm just gonna do that. It really helps the brain still perform, rather than just going out there. I'm nervous and don't know what to do. I'm nervous and don't know what to do is recipe for disaster. So, I'm nervous, but I have a plan. I know I'm gonna serve here. I know I'm gonna hit my running shots here. I know I'm gonna hit the returns hard to the middle. Just have a very specific plan, and as you get better with that, and as you play more tournaments, and then you'll execute your plan better.
Another question from the parents.
Okay.
Gabby, my daughter, my son, they practice better than they play.
Oh yeah. Very typical. I think about 90 to 95% of tennis players practice better than they play a tournament. That,
How do you change that?
and that's why there's yeah, that's why we have only one, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. But I mean, the only way to change it, first of all, I mean, playing a lot of tournaments, a lot of players just don't compete enough. Like maybe they play one tournament, do bad, and just don't play for another month, and that doesn't help. You gotta really. When I moved to the States, I was losing a lot because the level was higher than in Venezuela, and I took a lot of losses. So I was starting to get so nervous, like, oh my God, my parents moved here, and they gave everything for me, and now I'm losing, and I'm losing. So I just started playing a little lower level tournaments and started getting some wins. I started winning a couple. And even though whoever you're playing, even though they weren't like, okay, top 100 ITF or anything, I was still winning. So it's kind of like like a muscle that you're developing, the winning muscle. And then it gives you confidence. So, okay, I play somebody a little better. Okay, I know this is my plan, and I achieved it on my last match, and I achieved it, and I won. So I'm gonna be able to do it in this match, because it's tough to trying to do the right things, but losing and losing and losing, right? Because then you're like, you don't believe in what you're doing.
So,
You know?
Gabby, it's good to play with lower levels, right? To gain some confidence.
Absolutely, it's great. And
Because
other
there is a belief from parents that my son always, my daughter, they have to train with better people
Yeah, no,
and
that's not
play.
accurate. That's not accurate, and honestly, it hurts the player, because obviously when you're playing with somebody better, you don't have much pressure, so you're not really training under pressure. And the only way to get better at playing good under pressure, which is on tournaments, it's practicing under pressure, right? So for example, when I used to play, sometimes my coach would just be like whatever, you're having a bad day, just go there, and he would send me to the last court, and then be like, you're playing with this player and you're starting every game 15 love down, and I had to win 6-0. And it was tough because, I mean, okay, 15 love, I lose 2 points, it's already okay. And that helped me a lot, knowing that I can do that, and I under pressure I can still win the right way, perform the right way. So I think it's amazing training. It's a privilege when you get to train with somebody better, but you got to take it like that it's a privilege, and just really take advantage of any match that you have, because it makes you stronger. It makes you stronger mentally, to just focus on, okay, how am I going to improve with this person that I'm playing? How can I push myself?
Another theme topic that we have around is I make too many errors, Gabby. I'm
Yeah,
making too many errors. I mean, I hear that every time.
yeah,
In
yeah,
practice, after matches. Oh, I made, or I'm
yeah,
making too many errors. What would
yeah,
you tell that player?
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we make a lot of errors. The first one is obviously because you're nervous. And what happens when we're nervous is that our body freezes and we don't move, right? So if you're making all of your shots flawlessly on practice, and then that's happening on the tournaments, obviously you're very tight and you're probably not moving, because there's no reason why you couldn't do the same thing on practice. Again, having a very specific plan, obviously, because sometimes players leave the match and they missed everything, and I'm like, what happened? It's like, no, I couldn't make a ball on the court. I'm like, okay, what did you try? I don't know. I don't know what happened. It's like, what do you mean you don't know what happened? Like, it feels like they didn't even have a plan. Like, you didn't really see them trying to accomplish that plan that they had. They just kind of froze up here and just missed every ball. So it's kind of acknowledging that plan, and knowing, okay, I'm nervous. I'm nervous, but I need to move more. I need to maybe jump up and down, get my adrenaline up, because if the blood flow is not going, my brain is not working, and I'm frozen. Right?
Couple, excellent, Gabby, excellent. Two couple more things. This is fascinating. How many topics we can bring right to the
Yeah.
table. I see very often kids getting so frustrated and upset in practice when they practice. Even when they do basket drills, they make a couple errors and they start throwing the racket, getting upset. I'm not making every ball in. I'm suck. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I can't play
Yeah.
tennis. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, what is you when you are in that situation? What do you tell the player in that moment? You stop the drills. You go to the. What
Yeah.
do? You tell that sit, have a seat, relax. What is your
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
response?
that's sometimes a challenge, because I've worked with some players who sometimes can't control the
Mm.
anger. It's like you know that they're almost trying, but they go crazy. And I think
How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think that the best strategy I found is, kind of sitting them down for 5 minutes. Okay, just sit down 5 minutes, and whether it's your private lesson, you're gonna sit down there until you come down. It's 5 minutes, and then almost when they come back, they're really way more aware. Like, oh God, I don't want to sit 5 more minutes. And usually, these kind of players, they get angry because they care. No, they want to do a better job, or they're perfectionists. So they really
Mm.
don't like to be sitting down for 5 minutes. So that's the best strategy I found. And I mean, a lot of times, just discipline comes from home. Also, we try coaches to discipline them as best as possible, but just teach them to always be respectful. Obviously, on court, it's so important.
Gabby, when you come back to the court after those 5 minutes, do you change the topic of the drill that haven't been successful, or you keep doing the same until they make it?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. It depends on the case. Sometimes it's good to kind of distract them and do another stroke for a little while, until, they kind of, okay, they almost forget about it. And then when you come back to the other stroke, it's going really great. And they're like, yeah, now it's working. And they have no idea why. Because, so, So sometimes it's just tricks to kind of distract them into their own like head. Sometimes they just get like stuck on like one
Mm.
thing. Usually this happens to like perfectionists, the negative
Yes,
ones, because there's two types of perfectionists. But it's important to let them know that it's never going to be perfect. Realistically, it's just not even Federer is perfect. And that, you know, as long as it's getting better, it's good. And just to keep trying your best, you know, to have the expectations of just trying your best instead of, oh my God, I'm playing amazing today. So you can't expect to play amazing every day. Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
correct. And the last one, um, oh, I bet you got this question. The mom or dad comes to you on Monday morning, they call you on the phone, Gabby, Coach Gabby, how are you? Hey, how are you doing, Mr. Spatz? You know what? My son lost Saturday, Gabby. He was the better player of the two. He's amazing. My son is the best. But he lost to a pusher.
Oh, yeah.
But my son is the better player. He was
Right.
the better player of the two, but he lost to a pusher.
Right.
What would you tell that mom?
I mean, it's very simple. If you lost, you're not the better player. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? Because it's great. I've gotten parents who are like, you know, the girl, the person, the kid is losing, 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 but they're convinced that no, my kid cannot practice with that girl because my kid's technique is so much better
Mm.
and she hits the ball harder, but she loses to the kid in the tournament. So it is what it is. You know, your kid may have a talent for doing a better stroke, but then the other kid has a talent for competing better. And unfortunately, tennis first is competing before anything. I mean, there's players even on the tour that don't have the best technique, but they're still top 100. So like the competition part is like the first, and I think that's when you kind of catch a good talent, when you see a kid that you see compete well, that's when you kind of you're like, oh, this kid's gonna be good, right? Because you see that fire, that competition aspect, and yeah. So, like I said, you can't underestimate your opponent because also if you're telling your kid you're so much better than that kid, like how do you lose to him? You should beat that kid. You're putting these expectations on them that are unrealistic. He's going out the court thinking I can't lose to this pusher, and my strokes are so much better. Instead of going, okay, there's a 50-50 chance that I'm gonna win this match, and if I don't compete well and like just do my best, I'm not going to win this match because that's the reality.
And this is the wrap-up question. You're going to answer right now the $1,000,000 questions. Everybody will be very grateful to you, Gabby. How do you beat a pusher?
How do you beat a pusher? So I actually like
Give us,
playing
give
pusher.
us, give us your secrets, tips.
Yeah. So I actually like playing pushers a lot. And I think my record, most of the more counter pressure pusher players, I won. And it for me in my head, it was like, okay, I know this girl is not gonna hit a winner on me. So why am I so stressed out to rush the point? Right? Like, why do I feel like I need to end the point in two shots if this girl's not gonna hit a winner? Right? So in my head, it was like, I'm gonna work the point patiently. I know that if I hit a deep ball, this girl is just gonna push the ball back to me. So I'm gonna move her, and then when I get the chance, I have a short ball. I'm gonna try to step in. I'm gonna try to take maybe the ball in the air. I'm gonna try to use my angles, you know, and really hit big targets, but try to use my angles. But yeah, at the end of the day, making her feel that, oh, this girl, I just have to put the ball in the court, she's gonna miss. I don't want to make her feel like that. I want to make her feel, hey, I'm not gonna miss either, and I'm gonna move you, so you better watch out that if you don't do a better job with your balls, I'm gonna punish you, right? So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Very clear. And for me, question from me as a
Yeah.
player, drop shots are good too against them or not?
Yeah, for sure they are. I mean, it depends on what kind of pusher. Because if you're getting a person who's playing like heavy, high kind of spin,
No.
it's hard to do a drop shots. But if you have a chance and you see them back in the baseline, absolutely, you should use the drop shots. They don't like it at all because they like to hug the fence back there and they don't like them.
And now is my question. The other one was that you get asked very frequent. How do you beat? You started talking about how aggressive the game is nowadays.
Yeah,
How do you play those players? How do you beat an aggressive player?
yeah. I mean, nowadays it's yeah, it's tough. Like if you're playing, let's say I don't know, Barty or Osaka when she's at her
Mm,
best. That it's tough. So that you kind of really that's why you can't really want to develop your own weapons, your own strengths to
mm,
compete against those players because expecting their error, that's not gonna work. So yeah, I mean the serve is too important, right? Because if you're playing against somebody like Osaka and you're being if you don't win your serves and it's really hard to break her or Barty, it's really tough to win. So you really want to serve well, and even if you're not serving super hard, your placement, your first serve percentage needs to be really great because that's when you put more pressure on them. And everybody, can break under pressure. So you want to stay close, win your serves, and then you don't know when you'll get an opportunity, or you don't know if they might just lose their mind in one game because everybody does. So I think now in this aggressive game, serving and returning is so important. And just yeah, like I said, those first three shots, making your opponent feel that if I don't do a good job with my strokes, I'm going to get moved around and probably lose the point. When your opponent feels that, they make more mistakes, they feel more pressure, they give you more, easy balls. So that's kind of what you want to strive for.
fantastic. And one more, and I'll let you go. Gary. I love it. 45 minutes already. The time went so fast.
Yeah, I know.
Your top 5 favorite female players all time.
My top 5. Serena, of course. I love Serena. I mean, the fire that she plays with and the passion. I mean, I just love watching her. And I used to love Monica Seles. She was one of my favorites. I used to love Jelena Dokic a lot growing up, watching her also. She was so young and so aggressive. From this, and then from this generation, I like, trying to think. I like Andrescu a lot. I like her game a lot. I hope she comes back strong. How many have I have one more?
4.
Oof. I like Azarenka a lot.
Azarenka. Okay.
Yeah, I like Azarenka because she's aggressive, but it's controlled aggression. So I really like it because she's not a hit or miss type of player. She's aggressive but very solid. Oh, and Badosa that's coming up, I also love.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Gabby, once again, thank you very much. I had an amazing time. You gave us a lot of information. Really was very, very educational. And yes, and simple, very clear. Thank you very much. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Daniel. It was a pleasure, and thank you everyone for watching. I hope that you enjoyed too.
Okay, good luck, and we stay in touch.
Yes,
and tomorrow,
sure.
stay tuned for the interview with Uncle Tony, Rafa Nadal's uncle.
Oh, yes, for sure. I will.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Daniel.
Stay in touch. Bye. Take
Bye.
care. Good
Ciao.
luck. Bye bye. Bye, guys. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Take care. Good day.